up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Plus Platoon. We're a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I am going to bring in my girl, Kate. Kate, how you doing this evening?
I'm so good, Derek. How are you?
Hot.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's been up in the hundreds here. So
Same here in Florida. Feel that.
Next, we have got joining us Micah. Micah, how's it going?
Doing good. I'm also hot. The heat has been killing me.
Mm-hmm. And from the Pacific Northwest, who I'm guessing has not been 100 degrees, we have got Sam.
Hey, guys.
Please don't brag.
No, it's been like too cold here. It's been like in the 60s. I'm like freezing.
Okay.
I'm so jealous.
I'm willing to trade.
Sorry, we're dropping. Yeah, no.
No, it's honestly, it's been like, it's been cold in the mornings and the night here. I know that sounds crazy to you guys, but we're like begging for summer to start here. It's really like, it's kind of ridiculous. We haven't had
you some of our summer.
Yeah,
you can
can
have
you send
ours.
me some sunshine? No, I'll actually be in New York next week. So I don't know if I should be looking forward to the weather or not, because I know it's like 80 degrees there, I think, right now, and which is good. I think that's good, but the humidity and the mosquitoes, I'm not looking forward to. That's such an East Coast thing, you know. On the West Coast, we have very little mosquitoes, very little humidity. But yeah, I'm happy to be with you guys tonight.
Yeah, and my wife is actually down in Southern California right now, and it's like 67 there, and I just want to.
Yeah,
I don't like smacking women, but that's just one of those no.
Well, I'm going to be down in Anaheim in a couple of weeks. I know you're going to be in Anaheim before I am. I'm going down Friday.
Yeah,
you're going to be. That's right. You're going this weekend, and we did our show. For those who didn't watch, we have a video of the show we did, where myself and Gina and Pete, the three Disneyland experts, gave lots of advice and tidbits to Derek, the Disney World expert, because he has never been to Walt's original park. You guys, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm actually wearing my Disneyland shirt today.
I see that.
Yeah.
And
in honor really of Marvel, because we can't, you guys can't get Marvel stuff down at Disney World.
Wow. No, but, for those of you who want an update on how my planning is going, tune in tomorrow at this time, and I will be letting you guys know kind of what my plans are.
Oh, cool.
See what, I did decide on a hotel for that night. So give you guys a little bit of an update tomorrow. But anyway, back to the Plus Platoon side of this. We've got Steve joining us tonight.
Hey, Steve.
And hopefully several other of you on there. If you guys are wanting to look for comments, please go over to Facebook. Our YouTube comment section is still not working properly, so please go over to Facebook and comment on there.
Yeah.
Okay?
And I see, Derek, you are wearing your Plus Platoon shirt today. I need to compliment you on it. It looks excellent. Very sharp.
Thank you. And if any of you guys want one, there is a link both on our Facebook page and on plusplatoon.com. They are available on TeePublic, which I believe is having a 35% off sale now. And if they're not, wait like 2 days and they will. So, and we got Ryan with us. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Glad to see you on here. But we are ready, Kate, for the rather abbreviated Disney Plus news.
This is short compared to the last few weeks, Kate.
It's true. Welcome, everybody, to the Disney Plus news. All right. First of all, Obi-Wan Kenobi will be showing all 6 episodes in select theaters on June 22nd. The release date of the last episode. Yeah, that's going to be really cool. It's going to be like a long movie. It's going to be great.
Long movie.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it'll go quick.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they're doing that with this series when they haven't done that with any of the previous, like they didn't do it with Boba Fett or
And I
Mandalorian
will
or,
say their viewership numbers have been much higher with this series.
oh, so maybe
So,
that's what they're,
and let's
yeah.
face it, for the Star Wars people, they don't really have much coming out anytime soon as far as movies concerned.
That's
True.
fair.
I mean, they've
Lots
got
of TV
Lightyear.
shows.
They've got Lightyear coming out Friday, which is the Buzz Lightyear origin story from Pixar.
Yeah.
They've got Thor: Love and Thunder coming out in July, but there's no Star Wars coming out for any time soon. So I can understand why they're doing this. Plus, I have a feeling it's running at select theaters, which means that they probably didn't have to pay a ton to get it distributed.
Yeah.
So,
all right. And last but not least, there are also talks of a season 2 of Obi-Wan, but it will likely not be for a while based on the upcoming release schedule. So
yeah,
that's
Star Wars
all I
has,
got.
yeah, they got a lot of stuff coming out, but again, never let it be said that Disney doesn't know how to milk a franchise for all it's worth.
Absolutely. If that
True.
cow has milk, they will milk it. Seriously. I think it'd be interesting to see if they do something where they have another jump in time, right? Because right now we're
I would
like
like to see that.
yeah,
I
because
would like
we're
to
what
see
10
that.
years? We're 10
Yeah.
years after episode 3. And so it could be, sometime in between now and episode 4. I don't think they're not gonna butt up to episode 4.
I would love to see something actually almost like coexisting with Rogue One, something right before New Hope. What was he doing? How much was he actually keeping an eye on Luke? Because there's no way he was out there randomly when Luke was out and about getting hit by the Sand People, at least. So
yeah,
I don't, especially now knowing what we know that could not have been random. So
we just can't get him too old though, right? Because then he still has
they've got gray hair stuff.
No, I know, but we've got Ewan McGregor, and then there's a different actor, obviously, in A New Hope that plays Obi-Wan. So we need him to.
But you could get close. You could get close.
I don't know.
Now
I
speaking
guess
of
they could do
milking
some CGI stuff. So
speaking of milking a franchise for all that it is worth, we've got the new Marvel show. We've got Miss Marvel's premiered today. Guys, we're going to try doing this a little bit different today. We're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the actual content of the show. So, yeah, still love your comments, still love to know what you think, but be looking for after the show for, let us know how you felt actually about this show. So, with that, Sam, I'm going to shift it over to you. There was a lot of very positive cultural representation in this.
Absolutely. This is one of the first times we're seeing a South Asian hero in, I'm not going to just say in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in sort of Disney shows in general. This is kind of a big deal. It's not just that she is South Asian, but she's Pakistani and she's Muslim. I mean, we see a lot of the time we see Indian characters in TV shows and movies. It's not that often that we see Pakistani characters. And when we see Pakistani Muslims in a lot of shows, I hate to say this, but we often see them as villains, right? And now we've got a hero, a brand new hero with nods to her culture when she's putting on the cuff, and that's the cuff that gives her the these powers, these superpowers. So we know we're going to hear some more about these superpowers perhaps being passed down in her family and sort of ancestral. We saw her family members speaking Urdu. We saw them talking about Allah. We saw them, clearly a devout Muslim family who is a little bit more conservative in their upbringing of their daughter and how their daughter's trying to rebel a little bit, and how her brother kind of is trying to help her navigate the cultural differences in her family. I thought it was wonderful. We don't see a lot of or we haven't seen a lot of different cultural representation. The MCU is doing, I think, a very good job of that. But I think in general, in TV and movies, we just don't see enough of it. And so it's nice to see Disney doing that And it's not just, I guess, the other part about it, it's not like they're just doing it out of nowhere, right? It's in the comics, in the Marvel comics, and the Marvel comics are also known for being much better than a lot of other sort of mainstream media for being multicultural, for representing people from all walks of life, from different ethnicities, religions, all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice that this is not even, it's not totally brand new. It's really taking from the comics and putting it on the big screen. It's also, of course, as we talked about last week, nice to see just a young, a young hero, a teenage hero dealing with all the things that teenagers deal with. So yeah, I thought it was great. I think we'll see more of it probably throughout the show, but I think it's going to be focused a lot on the clash, I think, between her parents and what they want, in particular her mother, and what her mother wants versus what Kamala wants. You know, so I think it's really nice. The only other famous Kamala who says it different is Kamala Harris, our vice president. So slightly different pronunciation. Also from South Asian background, but Indian background versus a Pakistani background. Yeah. Anything to, oh, there's a couple other things I forgot, which is that I believe the director is also a South Asian woman. I think some of the writers also have South Asian backgrounds. It's a very diverse production staff and writing staff, which is also nice to see, of course. Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it so authentic. It's not just here we're going to slap this person in to be our representation, but it's actually authentic representation, which is really nice. And you talked about the mother back and forth with her, and I think one of her lines that I don't think many people picked up on is "Are you going to be good like we taught you, or are you going to be cosmic at the end?" And I think that is going to set up sort of the movement forward. That line is going to be brought back again, I'm pretty sure.
And then her line of "totally cosmic."
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
And not only is she representing a Pakistani, the actress was actually born in Pakistan.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was born in make you all feel old. She was born in 2002. So she's actually so she's 19, feels like 16, playing a 16-year-old, which to me is the way to do it rather than the other way, although we'll get to Obi-Wan later. But yeah, she was, and now family lives in Canada, but she was actually born in Karachi, Pakistan. So there is that.
She's the perfect choice because she's representing a total fangirl, and she herself is a total fangirl.
Yeah.
And hearing her talk about the show is like listening to Kamala talk about superheroes. It's just like they picked so well for her character.
Definitely.
Totally. She was, I loved we talked a little bit about the preview for the show last week, and I loved how they interviewed her and how she came, she showed a picture of the costume that she had made when she was, a preteen or early teen years, of her dressed as Captain Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
Or sorry, as Ms. Marvel, not Captain Marvel. But she's like, she's a huge fangirl, and that's just awesome. Awesome.
And it works. Her innocence and her excitement. I'm so glad that they released that preview before the show, because I went into this exactly what Micah was talking about, knowing that she was a fangirl, knowing that she's very knowledgeable in the MCU. So watching, like, one of my favorite parts of this entire episode was the beginning montage, was having her narrate that and shit, like, so good. So Micah nailed it when he said, like, they cast a fangirl, and I believed her the entire time. I believed her. So,
although, is there anyone else that got very Diary of a Wimpy Kid vibes from some of the art throughout this whole thing? So, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's just what it reminded me of, was the different arts through the Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah, a little bit. I loved the art, actually. And we could talk about that more a little later on in our discussion. But yeah, a little bit of that Diary of a Wimpy Kid feel.
I will add in, just on a little bit of a side note, how much I do appreciate the cultural representation and how they showed this family that very much valued tradition and culture and like kind of by the book, but then also the dad covered himself in green paint to be the Hulk. Like, to me, because I feel like a lot of times, especially that culture is viewed, and I would say the Asian culture is also viewed this way, that it's like rigid, by the book, no fun is had. And to me, this showed that while, yes, they have tradition and they have rules, that they also have a fun, playful side. And that made it very like, oh, I like this a lot. When the mom pulled out the Hulk costume that she made, and then the dad busts through the door. I mean, I just couldn't help but laugh. So I loved that part.
Yeah,
And then you wanted to cry at her reaction, though, right?
Sob at her
Yeah.
reaction.
mm-hmm. I will also say, though, they talked about the different representations, how the son is very rigid, always praying, always, and the dad's going, it was either the dad or mom that said one can pray too much.
The dad.
The
It was the dad. So,
And the whole, you don't really have to check your mirrors, just pretend like you are.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
no, I always check my mirrors every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
As a girl
Doesn't
who
everybody?
almost failed her driver's test, I feel this. So
Well, and the great
But-
thing about representation of this is it's a authentic family that shows it's not, there are the people who are taking their faith super, super, super seriously. And then there's those that are taking it seriously in a different way. And I like that representation, and that their culture isn't just all just strict. Like you already said.
Right. It's not a monolith, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's not one way to be a Muslim. There's not one way to be Pakistani, right? There is a range of what people practice and how they live. And you see that even in that microcosm of one family. Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that happened a lot in the comics, is this real humanizing of a whole group of people we haven't seen. And people were concerned, is that going to carry through with the show? And after this first episode, it's like, wow, yep, it is definitely going to carry through. And I think that's something that's going to keep a lot of fans very, very happy.
Now, okay, so that'll keep a lot of fans very, very happy. What has made a lot of fans very, very unhappy is her powers in this. And Micah, I'm going to leave this one definitely to you. These are completely different than they are in the comics. So can you talk a little bit about how they are in the comics versus how we're seeing her so far on screen?
Yeah, this is one of those conflicts that the fans almost didn't want to watch the show because of. In the comics, she can morph her body into all different ways. The one that most people would sort of lean towards is either Elastigirl in the, what are they called? Incredibles?
Incredibles,
Yes.
definitely.
Similar to that, or like Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. And I think part of their thinking was they are going to have a Mr. Fantastic, hopefully at some point, with the Fantastic Four, and a lot of the visual things that they're going to do for him, they want to save it for him and not have another character take it. The other thing is, fans have seen those on the comics. It's okay to do that stretchy thing. But what they found from watching, like people watching it, they get grossed out and almost sick to their stomach, which I've never experienced that, but that's sort of what Marvel has said. So this power set has been one of those things that a lot of us fans have been going, ooh, how is this going to work? What are they going to do? Are they going to change her origin story from being an Inhuman to something else? And the new power set of this hard light is just so totally different, but yet we see some nods to what happened in the past. Her first use of the powers in the comics was to stretch out her arm and rescue a woman from actually it's the same girl, but rescued her from a river, which I found it funny that they said that she was the one who had fallen in multiple times into that river. But it's that same thing when she drops off the hammer, the stretching out of the arm, and then in the final scene we see it straight from the comics. But that's sort of we're still going to be able to do the same kind of things of her extended limbs with these new powers. the piece that I was talking with you guys earlier about that I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that I really liked with the old comics of her doing it is when she first comes and is rescuing someone, she looks like Carol Danvers, like Captain Marvel, tall, thin, blonde, and in part of her story, learning to know I can look like myself, like a brown girl from Jersey City. That's part of her story, which I don't know that we will quite see that with the new power set, but I really liked with the old one. So I'm curious to see how they do that. It's okay to look the way you do, and that was a big part of the comics.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a different? Well, there's also a different origin story, right? Of how she gets those powers. Can you tell us a little bit about? I read a little bit about it, but I have not read the comics, so I don't really necessarily get it. There's some kind of mist or something
Yeah, the
that
Terrigen
gives.
Mist.
Okay, yeah. So there's some mist, and I know it's in Agents of Shield, right? But they're like ignoring Agents of Shield in the MCU, is what I was reading. So, but
There is
I
no
know.
Agents of Shield.
Right, there was exactly. Thank you. Jedi mind tricks were playing here. But why do you think they did that? Not ignoring Agents of Shield, but why do you think we're not seeing her get her powers from the mist, and instead it's the powers are from the cuff? The one thing I'm questioning is, are the powers now still in the cuff, or have they been imbued in her? Right. So if she's not wearing the cuff, will she still have those powers? We don't know yet, right?
Yeah, and they refer to it as a bangle, I think, is what the bracelety thing is. So I'm curious to see, and I think this next episode is going to really dive into talking a lot more about her powers and her figuring it out. There's actually 2 shows that the MCU had originally said this is canon, and now are sort of going ooh because they didn't go well. The first 3 seasons of Agents of Shield worked really well, and then they started getting ahead of the movies, and then suddenly,
And then they jumped the shark.
right. So they threw them out, but they also did an Inhumans series, which bombed very, very badly. Now it's interesting that they have brought.
Yes, did. Can confirm. Have watched.
Yeah, I liked
What
a
was
few
that?
elements.
What was that?
It was
series?
the Inhuman Story, which
I literally have never even heard of it.
it's
Wow.
It's not good.
Oh.
There were like 3 actors that people are like they did a good job. The rest of it, the writing was horrible.
So bad.
So there's this. Well, we went down the Inhuman route with 2 shows, and it bombed. And I think they're trying to steer away from that. With so the way that it's going to link, I think, coming forward is looking at some of the future movies with Secret Invasion is going to be a lot with 2 space races.
Which will be a series, not a movie.
Oh, series, yes.
That's a series.
Yeah, but I think also will link to the Marvels, which will be a movie, right?
Correct.
In that there's 2 space races that are sort of always at war, and it's the Cree and the Skrulls, who we've seen before. And the Cree are the ones who have experimented with humans, and that's where the Inhumans come from with the Terrigen Mist. Her original origin story is the Terrigen Mist gets released over most of the planet, and that really was picked up in Agents of Shield, and it was actually mirroring what was happening in the comics at the time, and that was a large part of the plot there. And they're trying to not have Agents of Shield, so they're trying to go a different direction. In that, though, when she puts on the bangle, and there was that rolling of the hard light across her body, and then her falling back into that realm, people are saying, could that be the new way of doing the Terrigen Mist? And is it that it's triggering her powers? And what happened when the Terrigen Mist comes is they were sort of in a cocoon, and then they break out of it, and often they've been changed to look different, or they have a different power set. So for her, it's a power set. So we don't know. And I think it's going to be the interesting thing of, it would be a great scene of, the bangle gets knocked off of her, and can she still do it or not? So I think we'll see a scene like that, hopefully.
I'm really curious about that question.
And when will we find it? Because if you look at how the mother reacted to her with that bangle, she knows
Yes.
what the grandmother had the powers, and the mother might have the powers, and now she's seeing it with the daughter.
Well, and
So
does the mother have powers because the mother can get food ready real fast?
Under
so
10
I
that's
feel
just
like
a
seconds.
mom. That's just a
I
mom.
feel like I feel like the mother might have like Dash type powers. When I say Dash, I mean like the Incredibles, right?
Incredibles.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Sweet.
I'm thinking the mom has some kind of Dash type powers. I don't, that's my prediction.
Well,
Okay.
and the Inhuman genes were passed down from generation to generation,
There
and
you
if
go.
they weren't triggered, yeah, they don't manifest.
Right. So
We
maybe the bangle doesn't give her the powers. Maybe the
It
bangle just
triggers.
triggered the power.
right, and
Interesting.
the technology. I think I might be jumping ahead a little bit. The technology for that, I think, was recognized in the show in the final scene with the cop who we saw in Spider-Man. Who, yeah, we'll come back to that a little bit
Yeah,
later.
we'll come back to that here in our next section, which we'll be talking about, guys. Okay, we've got all these people, but we haven't seen really a bad guy yet. And for those of you who have watched it but did not stick around for the credits, there was a mid-credits scene. So, and which is crucial to this part as far as who is the villain. And I'm going to kind of lead this one off because I think there are really three very, very viable options for this. The first one of this is a person known as either Birdman or the inventor or Edison. In that opening montage, there was a very definite picture of a cockatoo, the white bird with the crest. And that is basically the top half of how the Birdman was drawn. And it had question marks and exclamation points and big arrows pointing to it. So I think
And this is all direct from the comics, right?
direct from he was
Yeah.
her first villain, basically.
The first
Gotcha.
main villain, that runs for multiple comics.
Right. Also, when Kamala and Bruno are sitting on the roof, and Micah, did you ever check? Is his name Bruno in the comics?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So,
otherwise, Disney made a terrible name choice. But
right?
yeah, it came before.
Because we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah. But when they're sitting on the roof, the big sign behind them is Edison Electric. So it's the Edison Electric building that they're in. I think that there are and one of the big first plots of his was controlling teens, especially Bruno's brother on this. So Bruno's brother in the comics, in comic 3 or 4, one of the two, Bruno's brother actually is under control, comes in, robs the convenience store that Bruno works at, and Miss Marvel comes in and stops it.
But we don't even know if he has a brother yet. In fact, I don't think he does because he just lives with like a grandmother or something.
Well, we haven't seen.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
We've been told that he doesn't have family, but that is probably parents. We haven't heard about the brother yet. Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if he's going to have a brother because he lives with his like Nona or something.
Well, I have a question for Micah. Micah, are we missing? And I guess this was kind of true in Moon Knight. I almost said White Knight. In Moon Knight, but do you feel like because I know I've only read. Sorry, there's a storm here, and that thunder just scared me.
Oh my god, that was really loud.
We could hear it.
We could hear it. Wow.
Anyway, oh my gosh, that made my heart jump. Do you feel like the only comic books I've really read were part of the Captain America ones? And do you feel like we're missing a lot of Easter eggs by not reading the actual comic books?
But Micah, are those Easter eggs actually important that we're missing?
I think one of the things with this show is my wife and daughter, my daughter's 16, doesn't necessarily get into Marvel much at all, would not have touched Moon Knight at all, even if I paid her to. Both of them watched sort of over my shoulder, fell in love with this show. I think the power of some of how Marvel is doing stuff, and they've been doing this from the very beginning, is they have those Easter eggs in there for the people like me who
Right,
know
the
so much
hardcore
of it.
fans.
And they also do a really good job of bringing the new person in. They often talk about it as they want to draw in the girlfriend. You know, you've got the fan guy who's like me, who's been reading since the 90s. They come along with their girlfriend who's coming along for the date, but, you know, doesn't really like the movie and gets drawn in because of the humor and that they actually create relatable characters. And that's one of the ways DC has sort of failed with their superhero characters.
100%. 100%. DC has like I feel like you have to be like a hardcore fan to really enjoy them because they're just like telling the comic book story and they're not like adding any humor. There's no other, like, you don't care about the characters unless you cared about them from the comics. Like, it's a very different universe. I completely agree with you there. I would say I think the villain that hasn't been mentioned though are these two these
And-
two people in the
And that
end
is an
credit scene.
excellent segue
Yeah.
to Micah. Micah,
Yeah.
tell me about those two people in that end scene.
So the one of them we've seen before. The guy was the cop who was last seen interviewing Spider-Man and his friends when Peter Parker was arrested. Some of the things that we've been saying with him actually go back to, oh boy, now I'm going to forget which movie it is. Which is the one where you think it's now I'm losing names. Black guy with the patch.
Nick Fury.
You think it's Nick Fury. Oh, that I guess is in Spider-Man, where you think it's Nick Fury the whole time, and it's actually a Skrull.
Skrull, yeah.
And one of the things that they talk about.
Whoa. What?
This isn't Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. Oh, Derek hasn't watched Spider-Man.
Which one? No Way Home?
No Way Home.
So
yeah,
No Way
telling me I need to watch that now?
Yeah, probably.
Well, you don't have to. You're not gonna. You don't have to. You're not.
Well, I'll know after episode 2 how this detective stuff goes, whether I really need to go watch it or not.
Right.
The line that he says is that there are Cree sleeper cells, which that is the Inhumans in a way. So that could be her grandmother might have been one of these Cree sleeper cells, and it's passed on. So
Far From Home is Nick Fury as a Skrull.
Yes, yeah. So that's the right one.
So not the No Way Home.
Right.
Is Far From Home the most recent one or not?
So it's not the most recent one, it's the one before.
It's the one before? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
it's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. The second one.
Homer Hickams in Marvel? What? Huh? There's a throwback for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal when he plays that other hero character. I'll just say that for no spoilers for people who haven't seen it.
Cool. So going back to those two cops just real quickly, the last thing I'll say with them, when the female cop, and I don't think they've named her yet, or at least I missed that, she says, I haven't seen a power set like this yet. And if you look at the male cop's face, it's like, ooh, it looks like he has. So it's this, is he a Skrull? And that would make sense with what happened in Spider-Man.
Or is he a Cree?
Oh, could be. I think he would be more excited. I don't know. The way.
Yeah, I think he's got to be Cree because he's probably hunting.
Mysterio, but no.
Yes, Mysterio. Thank you. No, Mysterio was Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Thank you, Pete. I couldn't think of the name. No, but I think more likely, I'm with you, Micah. I think if he's an alien undercover, then he's gonna be a Skrull.
Yeah,
and
because he's hunting Cree.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Otherwise, he could just be a bad guy from S.H.I.E.L.D., basically, right? Sort of the reincarnation of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra or whatever you want to call it now, right? He doesn't even have to be, he doesn't have to be an alien. He could just be a human and still be a villain. Let me just say that. I actually, because my first instinct when seeing those two officers, I was like, ooh, they're the new Hydra people. That was what I was thinking. I wasn't going, my brain did not go to alien land.
So I forget what the new agency's called that they work with, but I think there's links to Sword. well, it's sword, but
No,
they
but
what's
that's
on their
it's the
swords in
defense
space?
of yeah,
Oh,
it's like
Yeah.
the defense of the dark arts or something. I know I'm in a different universe.
defense under Marvel bad guys. Dumb.
Right. Yeah. But it's
Thank you, Kate. Thank you.
That was funny. That was funny.
I can't
See, and I
remember
watched
the name.
this episode. I'll be
Me
really
too.
honest. I watched this episode, really trying to get a feel for her and her character. I wasn't even thinking about a villain. I wasn't. No one jumped out at me to be like, "Ooh, I bet they're the bad guy." Like, no one. So, and that's wild to me because usually there's always somebody who you're like,
Yep.
"Ooh, look at you!"
Not always in the
Not-
first episode.
yeah, we
not
didn't-
always
we
in the
didn't-
first episode.
And we didn't know in I want to bring us back to Captain America. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say Captain America and Winter Soldier, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is what it was called at the very
Hey, jump
end,
to
right?
the end. Hey, spoilers.
Right.
Come on.
Spoilers. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, we didn't know who the villain was for a couple of episodes, actually. And then we had multiple villains, right? I was thinking, and Pete says this in the comments, he had no clue at all who the villain was. I felt the same way throughout the whole show until we got to that credit scene. Once we got to that credit scene, I was like, oh, they're the villain, or they are a part of the agency that will be our villain, right?
Well,
but I think Derek's prediction about this other Edison, cockatoo sorry, it sounds really silly, but
there's a third
another one?
option. Yeah, there is
Okay.
a third option. The third option is actually a gentleman called Cameron, Kamran. I'm guessing Cameron.
Interesting.
He is in the comics. He is another Inhuman. He has powers.
we are
he's
totally doing
good-looking.
spoilers here.
Yeah, he is into the same thing she is. He's Muslim. He is parental approved dating material.
And that's how he starts, is he is
Yes.
the love interest and sort of sets up this triangle where Bruno wants to be the love interest, but this other guy is. And boy, if this comes out, we've really spoiled it for a lot of people.
Yeah. And he is working actually for, massive spoilers coming. He's working for Lineage, which is a gangster who wants Kamala to help take over the Inhumans capital city. Okay. It's already been confirmed that he is on the show.
I'm going to kick you right in the shin. I'm going to kick you right in the shin. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to kick you.
Got to get on a plane first, Kate. So,
I'm going to kick you.
Oh, wait. I'm heading there in July.
This third one, I think, is probably, for me, the one that I think is, I'm hoping they go there. And I actually think that the two cops are going to be sort of like her parents, in that she doesn't want to be a bad girl. She wants to be what they expect, and the cops are going to have their expectations of her. Her parents are going to have their expectations, and it's her trying not to be rebellious, trying to be a good girl, and yet trying to also be a superhero in the midst of it. And I kind of hope that they take it that way, because it's a lot more of the figuring out who she is, and they're not really bad, but they will sometimes go against her on things.
So I looked it up at who they are. So they are Cleary and Deaver. Cleary is the man who questioned Peter Parker in Spider-Man No Way Home. And Deaver is the woman. And they are from the U.S. Department of Damage Control. I love it. I think the name is just classic. I'm just looking it up on a recap. And I actually love the one who's playing Cleary, and I mentioned this in our pre-show conversation, but he played the lawyer in the show Inventing Anna that came out on Netflix not too long ago. And I'm sorry, Derek, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for you.
I don't have money for Netflix, so okay. Well, we've kind of dived into a little bit of the deeper stuff. Kate, I'm going to kind of go to you. What other observations do you have about this episode? What did you like? What else did you like? What else didn't you like?
So one of the things that I loved was how they shot this episode. I loved the cinematography aspects of it. I loved one of my other favorite parts is when they're having the text conversation. Her and Bruno, it's Bruno, right?
Yep.
Yes, so good.
Yes.
Yeah, and when he's walking and the emoji is on the concrete and then it's in the sign, and like that to me was so good. Instead of having just a little bubble pop up with something, or it scrolled up and it was like a billboard and all it said was ... And I was like, that's so good. Like I literally just sat and watched and I was like, the shooting of that and the development of that I thought was brilliant. I again, we already said this, love how this actress portrays this character. I have a feeling she is not having to act a lot. I have a feeling that a lot of it is just her.
At least on this episode.
Yes.
Being the fangirl. Yeah.
Yes. Micah, I like what you said about this being a possible different version of Terra Genesis. And have how that like encompassed her body and then broke away or whatever. As someone who has been watching all of the Marvel TV shows, I know all about Terra Genesis. But I hadn't thought about it that way, so I like that a lot. I am very excited to see where this goes. I don't know where this will go, and I'm excited to see where it goes. That's me.
Micah?
Well, just one other thing that we haven't talked about at all, but I think has a connection to Moon Knight and also to Black Panther is when she falls backwards into when she first gets the bango on and the energy goes across her and then she falls back in. There's all those people there with the glowing eyes. Who are they? I think that is the part that hooked me the most, that I'm like, I want to know what that is. And I've read a bunch of fan theories and gone, yeah, I don't like any of those. But yeah, is that her relatives? That this is like all of her ancestors?
Maybe.
Because we see ancestors like that. And the lighting is the same kind of that purpley color that is
Black
both
Panther, right?
Well, Black Panther, but then also Moon Knight, we saw that same kind of color into the, what do they call it in the Oververse? And is this another version of that? Is this her falling into Terra Genesis? Yeah. The other piece that I will note, when Bruno made her the gloves, they are Photon Gloves, which at first when I was reading it, I was like, oh, that must be Captain Marvel. It's not. Photon is the character. There's two names in the comics for her, either Spectrum or Photon. It's the Rambo.
Monica Rambeau.
Yes, a Monica Rambeau character. So this is that nod to her, and that Kamala actually knows about her. And I love that. How is it that we have this knowledge of what happened? And Endgame. How do we know what happened in Endgame? Well, there's a podcast.
It was on Ant-Man's podcast.
Right. Ant-Man's podcast
just like,
is
that
brilliant.
is fantastic. That's a great way to, we have this knowledge now because Ant-Man's having a podcast. And man, I want to hear that podcast. I think that'd be awesome.
That would be a great spinoff they could do. They could do some podcast episodes with, I would think it would be awesome. I love that.
So those are some of my other observations that really I'm excited to see where they go with.
Yeah. I can't believe nobody has mentioned the animated graffiti. Oh my goodness. I mean, I know you mentioned the cockatiel at the beginning of the show, Derek, but the animated graffiti is it's so cool. Pete mentions in the comments, that it's very much like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and that's a high compliment. I totally agree with you there, Pete.
Haven't seen it.
So I like this better, I'm gonna say, but Scott Pilgrim versus the World does a lot of animated stuff in a live action movie.
Okay, 10 seconds. What is Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
It's where he's fighting his girlfriend's evil ex-boyfriends throughout the movie.
Okay,
isn't it that?
Is it Netflix?
Right.
Is it a movie?
Oh gosh. It was a movie before. It was a movie
Okay.
before any of the, I'm sure it's on one of the service.
Okay.
But it's
I just never heard
I
of
haven't
it. So
yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was I think it was a graphic novel turned into a movie, and then they did all this animation stuff, like you know how in the comics where somebody gets punched and it goes, pow, right? So they would do an animated pow, right? Well, I like this even better because we've got in the background all this stuff happening on walls, on buildings, all this animation happening, and some of it
yeah,
is related to what they're there we go. Yeah, thank
it's
you,
a movie
Pete.
based, and it's actually on Peacock.
Okay, there you go. I knew it had to be on
Oh,
some streaming service, but the movie came out before there were all these streaming services, so it was actually in the movie theater first. But I love that a lot of the animation that's going on is stuff that they're talking about in conversation. So Kamala and Bruno are talking about what was it, zombie Iron Man or something like that, and then all of a
mhm.
sudden you see this zombie Iron Man on the walls of the building behind them. I thought this was a great touch. It's similar to the emojis where they're having that text conversation. Just the way that they're doing things visually is really, really smart and really, really funny and really fun to watch. So I also don't really know where this is going as far as who's the villain. Although I didn't like that she dropped and left those gloves in the bathroom. I wonder if we could have a villain that finds those gloves and uses them for evil. But I
That
guess
would
we'll
be the
have to.
inventor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll
it
have to
would.
wait and see. Well, the other part that
Ooh,
intrigued me
oh, whoa, whoa,
is that
whoa, whoa.
Bruno is an inventor. Now he is Bruno is a he's like another Tony Stark, right? With all his gadgets and what he's creating. So I thought that was great. I love that he dressed as Dr. Bruce Banner. He didn't dress as the Hulk to Avenger Con. He dressed as Dr. Bruce Banner. But yeah, there's just so many great little things that this show has given us in one episode, you guys. I cannot believe that was only one episode. I know we don't know who's the villain yet. I know we don't know exactly where it's going, but I feel like we've gotten so much out of just this just short episode. Derek?
Would totally agree. I think, and my wife mentioned this, this is probably one of the visually most original Marvel series that we've had, mainly because of all the different graffiti and drawings on the screen. I will say, as a high school teacher, I don't need all the teenage angst. Guys, I am truly going to develop my teenage drama show bingo card, because this had the parents not understanding, the guidance counselor pressuring her while trying to be super over friendly, the bullies not letting her into her locker. You've got the popular girl trying to steal her thunder. You've got the good friend who is trying to help. You've got the kids getting busted sneaking out. You've got plans not going as scheduled. And let's not forget the member of the opposite sex who is so deep in the friend zone that they'll need a bus, if not a plane, to get out. So, because there is definitely that Bruno likes her, and more than just friend likes her. And there was that moment where you thought she might, but nothing happened. But that was my main criticism of it. Now, I'm not even going to get started on my Marvel episode 1 checklist, because this also hit a lot of those boxes, the coming to terms with their powers and all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those where it hit so many cliches. That was my problem. That's why it wasn't an amazing episode for me. I mean, it was good. It wasn't amazing for me because they hit so many cliches.
But those are the ones that sell and they work.
Oh, I know. They sell and they work. But we'll get to my thoughts on originality within Hollywood here in just a moment.
Oh, no.
Yeah, as Pete says, it was a very cliche origin story so far. Show me one recently that hasn't been. So, Steve has said he loved it all. It exceeded his expectations. A while ago, Pete, and guys, Skier Pete is Pete from the show. He just got into Buffalo late, so he's been commenting with us. Feel like he's seen this type of cultural story before. Daughter wants to follow her own path. Can we say Mulan? But like the way it's being told.
Hello, Little Mermaid.
Oh, everything.
I mean, literally every one with a daughter, every movie with a daughter who does something different than her parents. That's the story.
I would say not so much Sleeping Beauty.
Well, because she doesn't really
They're dead.
rebel.
No. She has a mother and a father. Sleeping Beauty has a mother and a father.
Yeah,
They
but
just
she
take her
doesn't
away from
rebel.
them.
She gets Anyway,
But she is one that has a fully functioning, fully alive parental unit.
yeah.
Functioning, but
Yeah.
okay, guys. Real quick, what's it going to take to make this show a success? Super fast. What do you want to see that's going to make this show successful? Kate, I'm going to start with you.
Keep doing what it's doing.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Sorry, not Pete. Wow, Micah.
Well, I'll take that as a
The
compliment.
other guy without hair.
Hey.
I think
I
how
meant
they
other
make
than
this
Pete.
success is how they continue to have the teen drama stuff, but then also do explanations of how this new power set fits and where they're going with like the Skrull Cree conflict. And I think those are the stories from the comics that I thought I liked the best, and I'd love to see them represented in this show.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. What will make the show a success is a good villain. We need a good villain. We haven't really, like we talked about, we haven't really met or clarified who the villain is. If the villain's good, the show is going to be a success. If the villain's not good, the show is going to be a flop.
And
That's
see,
all I
to me,
have to say.
to me, it's going to be a flop if they cannot get beyond the stereotypical teen angst and Marvin origin story stuff. They've got to have something new. And to me, there's going to be 6 episodes of this, I think. 6 episodes of just the drawings is not going to be enough to make this unique.
Yeah.
So
no, but it might still be fun.
It'll be fun, but it's going to get old. Now, speaking of shows that are kind of starting to get old, we had Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 4.
You're killing me, Derek. You're killing me.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, director's choice on this, because I'm also producer tonight. I'm going to start this one. Guys, this is really getting to be Obi-Wan Kaslobi. It's Obi-Yawn. It's and the spit take has been achieved.
Wow, I was not what I was expecting you to say. That was good. That almost came through my nose. That was good.
They could have killed the officer. They didn't. I think if they kill her, it's more suspenseful how he gets out. Remember in New Hope when they let them get away so they can track him to their secret base? Yeah, we've seen this before. That's what they're doing in this. This needs to be done, and there really does not need to be another season. Kate.
I like it. But I mean, this is my favorite of all the Star Wars shows that we've watched because I find it very easy to follow. I know what's going on. I don't have to have an extensive knowledge of a whole different type of being and planets and
or 37 movies or whatever it is.
I find it very easy to follow. I love the Lola droid.
Same.
I love the Lola droid.
Which one? The good droid or now the evil droid? Because we have the evil
she's got
droid.
A red light instead of a
she now has a red
light,
light, so she's tracking her.
That's what that was.
Yeah, you didn't get that.
Lola
That was the whole
tracking
point of
her.
that whole thing, Kate. That she's the tracker.
Oh, I didn't. Oh,
You get to see
because
confused
Lola
Kate.
is now on the dark side.
Lola
now works for the Empire.
We totally just saw confused Kate. Thank you for calling
we
that
did.
out. My
I
God.
was like, oh, look, cute. Even Lola's sleeping, and is like, I'm awake, but I'm asleep. Like that's
Oh
like
my
I was like,
That was literally the most predictable thing about the whole episode. As soon as the third sister Reva said that there was a tracker, no, not when she was messing. When she was messing with it, I didn't think of it. But as soon as she said that she had a tracker, I was like, it's on Lola. She put something on Lola.
I'm so mad.
And then we see the blue light. We see Lola, and we see the red light, and I was like, oh my God, of course.
As Star Wars said, red is, as Pete says, Star Wars is
red
easy.
is bad.
Red
if you have
bad.
a red lightsaber, you're bad. If you have a blue lightsaber, you're
mad. They messed with my Lola.
Yeah, green
she'll
can be
get
good
redeemed.
too.
She'll get redeemed.
Yeah.
Did you all know that Lola was named, I think, after a bird that Carrie Fisher had when she was a kid named Lola?
No, I didn't know that.
No.
That's a nice little Easter egg.
The more you know.
But so okay, well that's fine. That's fine. Take my thing and squash it. And when she was holding the droid, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say that word. I was like, word that rhymes with
Girl.
witch. Listen, if you do anything to that droid, I'm coming in there and I'm gonna boop you right on the nose and it's gonna hurt.
Which she did. She did.
Well, but she didn't hurt her, which is what Kate was worried about.
I thought she was gonna be like, "Oh, you want this little droid?"
Yeah. I
That
thought
was
she was going to do that for a second too. Yeah.
So anyway,
Pete says
I don't
Lola,
even
she
remember
was
what I
the
was
showgirl
saying.
with petals in her hair, Jessica down there. I thought Lola was the one that walked like a woman and talked like a man. I thought that was Lola. So
No, she has
anyway.
not petals in her hair, yellow ribbons in her hair. Isn't it?
Okay, I think we're
Yellow
going
feather in her
completely
hair and a dress cut down to there.
Down to there.
We're getting
Yeah.
two completely different Lolas here. I'm doing Eric Clapton's Lola. I don't know what y'all are.
No, you're doing Layla. That's not Lola. That's Layla.
Oh, it is Layla.
We just jumped the shark on this show, you guys.
I don't
It's
even
Lola.
remember what I was
Lola. Hold on.
saying.
No, it's Layla. You got
No, Clapton's is Layla, but the song is Lola.
What?
Hold on.
No.
Micah, you
I'm
go.
so sorry. We have now gone off on a tangent. Obviously, you all just witnessed confused Kate in her prime because
Hey.
I was thinking how happy I was
It's
that the
Lola
droid
from the
was alive
Kinks.
and well.
It's Lola from the Kinks. Go look it up.
Okay.
Oh my
Okay, I
God.
believe you,
My turn.
but then when you said Eric Clapton, I was like, that's not Lola.
No, it's the Kinks.
Okay.
Well, I had a lot of hope for Obi-Wan, and I have lost interest, and I will watch the next episode because I really
So
want.
you're saying you need a new hope, maybe?
Yeah, 'cause
No, we
this
need
one
any
is-
hope. We need any hope.
This one
I don't
is
see how
so.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was her only hope, because if this is what Obi-Wan Kenobi was,
Help
there
me,
was no
Obi-Wan.
hope.
Yeah, I have found this show so slow, so boring. There aren't any characters that I'm connecting with. I feel like if you're not a fan person, this one's not going to grab you and pull you in. And the acting I have been so unimpressed. There are good child actors out there. Why get one who can't act? And she can't.
And who was 2 years too young.
Right. And you can see that with her hands. Anybody who's a parent, you look at her hands and like, this isn't a 10-year-old. Her hands
No.
are not a 10-year-old's hands. It's her emotions aren't right. It's I gotta say, this is probably my least favorite of any Star Wars shows. I've been so
Ooh,
disappointed
worse
with
than
it.
Boba Fett.
I at least had more interest in where they were going. Like the
Once
acting.
Mandalorian showed up.
Oh yeah, once Mandalorian showed up, then
Yeah,
it got
okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
I-
Well, that
and I
was
need
Mandalorian season 2.5, right?
well,
So.
if the Mandalorian showed up in this, then it'd be like, ooh, this show would be interesting. But Derek, you and I have talked about where's the drama. We know all these people are going to live, except they can kill off a droid,
Or
and they
that one
kill off
officer.
the officer. Yeah. Other than that, there's not much tension with it.
Hmm.
I felt like the fight scenes are really disappointing, and I don't like seeing Obi-Wan as just he's an old loser. Well, that's boring to watch, and that's been done better in other things.
And to me, why did they make such a point of the water getting ready to bust through that door? That after you had drowned all the stormtroopers, the door starts to give way and the water's getting ready to bust out, but then it never does. So that was a wasted shot, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to disagree mostly with Micah and Derek. I'm going to agree with my girl Kate. With
Shocked.
one exception, I'm going to agree with Micah on the actress who's playing Leia. I think she's real cute, and I liked her when they first introduced her, but she's too young. I have an 8-year-old who looks way older than she does, and so playing a 10-year-old, she's just too young. She looks about 6. I think she is 8.
She was
or
8.
was 8 when they filmed it, right? But she actually looks younger. She looks to me like she's about 6 years old. So she could have played younger, not playing. She's not doing great playing older. And I know why they do it. They've done it because if they're going to use her later down the road, they want her to still look pretty young, right? At least I'm assuming that. But I don't think she was a great casting, although I don't maybe dislike her as much as Micah does. But I've been liking this series. Yes, it's predictable. 100%. Like I said, I called the whole Lola thing as soon as they said there was a tracker, I knew what was going on. But I like Reva, I like Tala, I like Obi-Wan. Sorry, you guys. I like him as a character, and I like Ewan McGregor playing him. I think he's doing a good job. I have liked the fight scenes. They're not real big, they're not real long, except for the one between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, which was kind of long in the last episode, and nothing actually happened except for Obi-Wan getting burned. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. Now, is it as good as Mandalorian season 1? No, it's not. Is it way better than Boba Fett though? Yes, 100%. Sorry, even when they brought Mandalorian back onto Boba Fett, I think this is better, because that would just basically they were just taking over, and we didn't see Boba Fett for like an entire 2 episodes. So yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this. I'm actually, so Steve, I'm disagreeing with your comment that she looks 8. She looks like a 3rd grader. My
Third graders are
kiddo,
usually 9.
right, third graders are skew more towards, some younger ones are 8, or they start this year as 8 and then often are 9. But my kiddo is 8 and is a 2nd grader. He's about to finish 2nd grade, and she looks younger than my kid, right? Like by like 2 years, she looks younger than my kid, and my kid looks his age. He doesn't look 10. He doesn't look 6. He looks 8. So anyway, but like I said, all in all, I'm enjoying it. But is it the best thing I've ever seen? No, I actually thought the first 2 episodes were awesome. I think it's gone a little bit downhill in episodes 3 and 4. I'm hoping we see a pick up again in episodes 5 and 6, kind of like how we did in Boba Fett.
Yeah, although I will say episode 4 in Boba Fett was where it turned around, because that's when the Mandalorian came in. So
yeah, but they just put a big old Band-Aid on it instead of actually making a good show. It was like, oh no, look over here, right? Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain, right? Like it was complete distraction.
Was anyone else confused with the stormtroopers coming in, whether Obi-Wan was trying to keep the glass from breaking or trying to break the glass initially?
I thought he was trying to keep it from breaking, but
but I thought he was trying to there was a part there at the beginning where it looked like he could have been trying to break the glass to kill the stormtroopers. So I don't know. Pete says worse than Boba Fett, Mandalorian saved the show. Definitely. Ewan McGregor's acting is the saving grace of this show and keeps me interested enough to a point. I don't like how with the whole his struggles are too struggly, if that makes sense. He's trying too hard to show that he's struggling with using the Force again. It's some of the facial expressions are just too much for me.
I want him to be using the Force more, though. I will say that. Like, there's a few times where I'm like, can't you just Jedi mind them, right? So that you can escape detection a few times.
You're really going to tell me in the last 10 years, it seems like in the last 10 years, he's acting like he's never used the Force.
Yeah, how can he talk to Qui-Gon Jinn if he hasn't practiced, right? Like, how does he have enough energy?
Is going to show up. I still think Qui-Gon Jinn, at least the voice will show up.
Yeah, I agree. I just think if you can commune with your dead master, you are still practicing to some degree. So why can't you Jedi mind trick anybody?
Why can't you move a little stone thing across the table? Okay,
I have a question. Is oh, dang it. What's his name? The voice of Darth Vader.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah. Is he voicing Vader?
Yes. He's voicing it with computer assistance. So, because he doesn't sound like he used to, but it's close. I was
like, this doesn't sound right.
No, it's him with a little computer assistance.
Got it.
Or a lot of computer assistance.
Which is the other big question, elephant in the room question. Why the heck is Hayden Christensen even being listed as being on the show? Because he's not. You see, like him.
He's not in the suit.
Makeup, kind of in the
Bacta
tank. Yeah, like I mean, he's not. You don't hear his voice. He's not in the suit. He's not on the show. Why is he getting any credit for this show?
Because they needed to bring his name in for the show. Is why I think. Yeah.
But anyone who's actually watching knows he's not really on the show, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with him not being on the show. I don't need him on the show. We've got the
He's
voice
not on
of
the
James
show
Earl
as Darth
Jones.
Vader. He's not on the show as he has been in the show a little bit.
Right, but we've got James Earl Jones and Ewan McGregor. That's
Right.
enough A-lists. We don't need any more than that.
Wouldn't Hayden Christensen is A-list? Since when?
Well, since Star Wars, since episodes 2 and 3 came out, he
Derek, you
became
and I are
A-list.
old. We didn't get hooked with the prequels. The students that I work with, they got hooked with the prequels, and they love the prequels, and he is Darth Vader to them. And they
Right.
would say,
Awesome.
James Earl
Cool.
Jones, who's that?
Yeah, who's that? I know, right?
Uh,
That's a
they-
weird part,
um,
Mike, because to me,
yeah.
James Earl Jones is Darth Vader.
Right,
Yeah, Pete
right.
says, wait, he's in that one scene on the mining planet. He's so far away, we don't even really know that was him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was, but just that's especially if you're watching it on your phone, you really don't know if it was him or not.
He's not
So-
in the show. I don't
Right.
care what anybody says. He's not in the
Right.
show. What a waste.
He's not in the show enough to give at least
Right.
credit to. Okay.
I mean, he's been burnt to a crisp. I don't expect him to
How do
be
we
in
really
the
know it's him?
show.
I mean, yeah.
I
Okay.
don't need him.
So we have 2 episodes of Obi-Wan coming. We still have 5 episodes of Miss Marvel coming. But next week, we're actually going to go back into the vault again and see something that I have never even watched a little bit of. Guys, I've never seen Big Hero 6
What?
at all. At all. I've never started it.
So good.
I know who Baymax is from the other different stuff we've seen and
I
like
am
the
not
commercials and
fast.
stuff. I have never seen Big Hero 6. So this is going to be a new experience for me. Part of the reason we're doing this is a couple weeks later, there's going to be the Baymax series that comes out. So, I'm getting the impression that's going to be a lot like Doug Days or so shorts showing him as the medical helping device.
So
But,
you
yeah.
definitely don't know who this guy is then, because he's not even from the movie.
I thought that was from like Secret Life of Pets or something. I have no idea who that is.
No, this is Mochi, and he is the cat who is in the Baymax TV series. So this is like you got to like deep dive into Baymax if you want to know who Mochi is. Yeah.
No clue. Not a
He-
clue.
He's an important character in that show. Let's just say that.
Sure. Ryan is very excited about the show. He says it's one of its favorites. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would I rate my pain? I'm guessing that's another Big Hero 6 reference type thing.
Yes.
If it's the pain that I'm experiencing with Obi-Wan, it's about a 7.5. No,
Yeah.
no.
Are you satisfied with your care?
Just wait until
can't
Baymax
say-
starts to deflate. That is the funniest part of the
Yes.
entire movie.
Yes, it's so good.
Sure. Anyway,
Oh God, it's
no.
funny.
I mean, guys, I said this is gonna be one of those first things where I have literally never seen any of it.
I
So
love
we
it.
will see how this goes. And then in 2 weeks, we have got a real treat coming up. We have Warren Prowl, who was Ewan McGregor's stand-in on the Obi-Wan series, and he's been Sand People #3, and he's been in lots of other Star Wars series. He's going to be coming on in 2 weeks, talk to us about his experiences on set, his different interactions with the different characters, and talking about the at least season 1 finale of Obi-Wan. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. But next week we
Nice.
have got Big Hero 6.
Are
which
we going to also
apparently-
be talking about Ms. Marvel episode 2 and Obi-Wan
Yes.
episode 5?
Yeah,
But
we will be
shorter
hitting-
segments.
We will be hitting those very, very briefly. Most, unless there's something huge that happens, those will be very short segments next week. It will be very different. So,
All right.
okay. So Pete says it's Marvel. Derek is, because Baymax is Marvel. Big Hero 6 is Marvel, isn't it?
No.
No,
You sure?
Yes.
it's not Marvel.
It's not Marvel at all.
Not Marvel.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was actually a Marvel show.
No.
Sam, look it up real quick.
I'm going to look it up.
Well, at least if it is,
Okay,
wow,
Ryan
it
says
comes
Big
out
Hero
of a
6 is
totally
Marvel.
different.
Big Hero 6
Really?
is Marvel, 100%.
Ryan, whose side are you on? Get out of here.
It's
He's
not
on the side of the
616
truth.
universe.
So it's not in the MCU, but I thought
It is. It appears okay. Big
Yeah,
Hero
it
6 is a
is.
superhero team appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics and created
I
by
thought
Man of
so.
Action.
yeah,
Yeah.
Big Hero
Wow.
6 is Marvel. Because
Okay.
the reason I know that is because I remember seeing the
Yeah,
little
Earth
Marvel,
616,
the Marvel
Big
thing
Hero
above
6,
it.
Earth 616, it says.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is the same. Am I correct? That's the same Earth that all the MCU takes place on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yet another
Wow.
series that I'm going to have to. Anyway.
How,
So
how did I not realize that was Marvel? Wow.
There's
I have
Thanks,
no
nothing in it
idea.
that comes
Pete
across as
and
Marvel.
Pete and Ryan and
I knew something Marvel that the rest of y'all didn't know.
yeah,
Which is,
but it's not MCU. Pete tells us in the comments
yeah, it's
that
not
it's not.
MCU, but
Yeah.
it's Marvel. So, but guys, that's
It doesn't feel like Marvel, Derek.
okay.
So you might
Yeah,
actually like it.
I'm not going to worry about it being Marvel. I'm going to judge it as a completely independent movie.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you have suggestions for other things we should watch, please email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. And we are on at least as of now, we are on every Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. We are also available on all major podcasting platforms. With that, guys, we will see you all next week. Oh, before I forget, there is going to be posted a survey coming up on our Facebook page. We're looking at potentially making a few changes to the show, and we want to know what our listeners and our viewers think. So please, they will be showing up on Facebook. There's one up. There's at least one up now. It was basically your question 1. Your questions 2 and 3 are also going to be appearing to basically they're probably up now because I think I had them posting at 10 Eastern. So please go on there, fill those out, look for those throughout the week. We're going to be asking some different questions about how'd you like this show compared to what we normally do for series. Please let us know because we're wanting to make this so much better for you. We're wanting to make sure we really serve you. With that said, everyone, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching us tonight. And we will say goodnight, everyone. So bye, guys.
Bye. Good night.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcasts and leave those 5-star reviews as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.